Battle through the heavens, Grand World. Chapter 266 Sharp Moves. With a wave of the giant ruler, lightning erupted from the surface of the ruler. It was as if thunder dragons were roaring all over the sky, shaking the heavens and earth. 8 bolts of lightning erupted from the surface of the ruler, rushing into the ground and shooting into the sky once again. Dense lightning quickly rushed over, gathering together in an unstoppable manner. Like a lightning dragon, it struck towards Li Yin. The main ingredient used to forge the blue flame ruler was the gray flame iron. Its value was comparable to a saint-grade monarch skill, and its memory function was extremely rare. The power of the monarch skill that was displayed in this manner was not any weaker than a true monarch skill. The remaining origin monarch ki in his body roared wildly. Xiao Yan gritted his teeth and poured all of them into the blue flame ruler. The light on the blue flame ruler scattered, and the power that spread out made Yuan Tianmu and Shen Tu, who were not far away, tremble with the high-grade spirit weapons in their hands. Heavenly weapon. Shen Tu's expression suddenly changed when he sensed this unusual pressure. His eyes were filled with endless greed as he looked at the blue flame ruler in Xiao Yan's hand. Yuan Tianmu was also shaken by this might. He looked at Xiao Yan thoughtfully. After which, he looked at Shen Tu and let out a cold cry. The dragon scale in his hand opened and closed. The large purple dragon, which had been in a stalemate with Shen Tu, roared towards the sky. In an instant, it broke through the obstruction of the large golden python and surged towards Shen Tu. Purple ki lingered around it, causing the space to tremble. The moment the giant purple dragon broke through, Yuan Tianmu's face turned extremely pale. His body, which was trembling because of the blood essence, became extremely weak. Kai. Buzz. Golden lightning rushed towards Li Yin, and the giant purple dragon rushed towards Shen Tu. 2 powerful monarch skills seemed to be able to pierce through the space, and both of them were emitting an awe-inspiring aura. After this aura was an even more oppressive heavenly weapon, causing the golden spear in Shen Tu's hand to tremble slightly. Being locked by the lightning, Li Yin's eyes almost popped out. Although he wanted to get rid of it with all his might, the might of the heavenly weapon was like a huge mountain, completely suppressing it. The spiritual light on the short sword in his hand disappeared without a trace. Facing the might of the heavenly weapon, the spirit weapon could only tremble slightly. The lightning passed through space and seemed to have crossed a long distance in an instant. It violently smashed onto Li Yin's body, completely submerging the latter's body with the golden lightning. Xiao Yan held the blue flame ruler in his hand and took a deep breath. With a breath, the fire wings on his back had finally exhausted the origin monarch ki and disappeared. Xiao Yan trembled as he landed on the ground. The moment he landed, an endless pain was transmitted from his entire body. The weakness in his body directly struck his mind, causing him to nearly faint. This time, he had used all of his strength to unleash the full power of the heavenly weapon. The moment Xiao Yan landed on the ground, Yuan Tianmu's giant purple dragon roared and arrived in front of Shen Tu. The latter's expression was extremely cold. Under the influence of the heavenly weapon, the golden spear could not even unleash half of its full power. Because of this, the giant golden python was easily devoured by the giant purple dragon. It carried an endless amount of power as it rushed towards Shen Tu. Ha! Shen Tu's eyes were scarlet red. He instantly put away the golden spear. He suddenly waved both of his palms, bringing along surging origin monarch ki as he faced the giant purple dragon. With his strength that far exceeded that of an emperor, it was likely that he would have no problem blocking Yuan Tianmu's attack. Yuan Tianmu's face was pale. He did not even have the strength to stand as he sent out his attack. He supported his dragon scale head and managed to stand steadily. When he saw Shen Tu's action, his expression could not help but freeze. Without any hesitation, he suddenly extended his hand and a green paper talisman appeared in it. He looked at the paper talisman with a pained expression. Yuan Tianmu clenched his teeth and ruthlessly shot the paper talisman into the huge purple dragon. Bang! Bang! 2 consecutive world-shaking explosions sounded. Xiao Yan lifted his eyes and looked over. A bottomless pit had already appeared where Li Yin was standing. Li Yin was lying on the edge of the huge pit, covered in injuries, and his aura was extremely weak. He's not dead yet. Xiao Yan smiled helplessly when he saw this. Sure enough, this fellow was not easy to deal with. Even after unleashing the full power of the heavenly weapon, it still didn't kill him. Cough. Li Yin was breathing rapidly. With great difficulty, he coughed out a mouthful of blood. He felt powerless all over his body. The pain in his body was like an electric current that kept flowing into his mind, almost driving him crazy. How is this possible? A heavenly weapon. Li Yin opened his mouth wide. He wanted to do something, but he didn't have the strength to do so. In order to avoid the fatal injury, the origin monarch key in his body had completely dried up. For so many years, this fellow was the first person to injure him so severely. Second head. Kill them. Li Yin struggled to raise his head to look at Shen Tu, who was fighting with Yuan Tianmu. His eyes were filled with hope. Buzz. A palm struck down. Shen Tu's facial expression changed slightly. This fellow's ultimate move was indeed extraordinary. Even he seemed to feel a little powerless in an instant. Shen Tu's expression was ferocious as he furiously shouted. The surging origin monarch key in his body flowed out one after another, transforming into a huge golden palm that was dozens of feet in size. It smashed apart the huge purple dragon with ease. Hey, there's no more moves. The origin monarch key within his body was almost completely used up. Shen Tu looked at the huge purple dragon in front of him and slowly said as he slowly scattered. He couldn't help but frown. Yuan Tianmu. Also, that brat didn't have any strength left. What happened next was much easier. Yuan Tianmu's bounty and that young man's divine weapon. They would all belong to him. As for that Li Yin, as long as he had all of these, it would be a piece of cake for him to become the sect master in the future. Swoosh. Before the smile on his face could fade away, a green paper talisman shot over like a bolt of lightning and entered Shen Tu's eyes. Mysterious patterns were engraved on the green paper talisman. At this moment, these patterns seemed to be burning as they drew a profound picture on the paper. This is. Shen Tu frowned when he saw the green paper talisman. Immediately, his expression changed wildly. The death aura that was emitted from it caused him to feel an endless amount of fear. Explode. Yuan Tianmu's expression was icy cold as he faintly spat out a word. In the next moment, the green paper talisman emitted a brilliant glow. It did not wait for Shen Tu to counterattack before it exploded with a loud bang. It was just like a sudden clap of thunder on the ground. Dust filled the sky and even the ground seemed to tremble and split apart. Xiao Yan's legs could not stand stably and he nearly fell to the ground. He looked at the smoke that was spreading not far away and could not help but be stunned. This attack was even more powerful than the 8-directional thunder ruler that he had unleashed with all his strength. Kill them and leave this place immediately. Their rescue team is coming soon. We can't deal with those people in our current situation. Yuan Tianmu looked at Xiao Yan with a complicated expression and sighed. However, there was a trace of regret in his heart. The green paper talisman was used so quickly. It was a pity that Shen Tu's head could be used to exchange for one paper talisman. When Xiao Yan heard this, he glanced at Yuan Tianmu and couldn't help but laugh. Without saying anything, he flicked his finger and threw a medicine pill at the latter. After that, he walked towards Li Yin. He had already harvested this guy's head. Yuan Tianmu frowned when he caught the medicine pill that Xiao Yan threw over. He swallowed it in the end. When the medicine pill entered his stomach, Yuan Tianmu felt that origin monarch key began to form within his body. Some of the wounds on his body also began to slowly heal. Yuan Tianmu was silent. He looked at the place where the explosion had occurred. Shen Tu's body fell down powerlessly. He no longer had any aura. Xiao Yan, after we arrive at the Yunluo Academy, I will propose to the elders to allow you to enter the realm in Valley. With your strength, you should be qualified to enter the realm in Valley. After removing Shen Tu's head, Yuan Tianmu looked at Xiao Yan, who was not far away, and said in a flat tone. Chapter End. Battle Through the Heavens, Grand World. Chapter 267 Agreed. Realm in Valley. Xiao Yan stood up and was slightly stunned when he heard that. He did not know what to say for a moment. Let's leave this place first. I will introduce you to the situation in Realm in Valley. Join us and you will be able to obtain the greatest amount of cultivation. Yuan Tianmu nodded his head when he saw Xiao Yan's shocked face. He looked around and said in a deep voice. Xiao Yan also nodded and looked around. The originally beautiful courtyard had been destroyed beyond recognition. Broken stones and debris piled up on the ground, and the clear lake water was also filled with stones. Let's go. Xiao Yan didn't hesitate. Although he was in intense pain, After consuming a medicine pill, he felt an origin monarch key growing inside of him. He took the lead and put away the dragon scale. He looked at Xiao Yan with a complicated expression, then followed suit. After a long while, a few figures rushed over. The scene that entered their eyes was filled with ruins. There is no movement. The second manager might have killed the offender. The leader of the group smiled hideously when he didn't sense any key. Shen Tu's strength was second only to the sect master and Kandri group. Even an ordinary monarch emperor wouldn't be able to do anything to him. With just a few small fries, he should have been killed long ago. The middle-aged man furrowed his brows when he saw this. He mumbled to himself, "The battle is so intense. Is the intruder really only at the monarch spirit level? He's not at the monarch spirit. I heard that there's another guy from the Yunluo Academy." When Lord Shen Tu heard that it's the Yunluo Academy, he couldn't wait to come over. But, why can't he sense any key? The last man shook his head when he heard this. He then raised his head and looked at the ruins in front of him. He couldn't help but mutter to himself, "Let's go in and take a look." The leader snorted coldly. He waved his hand and the three of them moved. They had already rushed in. Second leader, Lord Li. After entering the ruins, the three of them had yet to start searching when they found the corpses of Shen Tu and Li Yin. Their faces instantly turned ashen as they looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief. Although their heads were nowhere to be seen, based on their clothing, it was easy to tell. Who is it? One person can take the second master and Lord Li, could it be Mu Yuyang? When the three of them thought of this name at the same time, their faces instantly turned pale. This name had already become the nightmare in their hearts. No, Mu Yuyang's way of killing isn't that cruel. It should be Lin Dao. Shaking his head, one of them gritted his teeth and denied the idea that had just popped up in his mind. Then, his face turned bitter and he opened his mouth, but he didn't know what to say. No matter if it was Mu Yuyang or Lin Dao, just the Kandri group alone wouldn't be able to fight them. That guy, he just finished his training a few days ago. Why did he come out again? Their mouths were filled with bitterness, and their legs were trembling. Their originally furious mood eased up slightly when they thought of the names of these two men. Realm in Valley is the most elite Tier 1 student in the Yunluo Academy. The number of people in each batch is at most less than 10. These 10 people are the strongest within the inner academy back then. They will only be qualified to enter after going through numerous tests. In a mountain forest not far from the Green Sun City, Yuan Tianmu was sitting on a huge rock. He looked at the bustling capital of chaos below and spoke slowly. His gaze was solemn, and no one knew what he was thinking. Xiao Yan was sitting on a green rock not far away from him. He looked at Yuan Tianmu with an indifferent expression, but his mind was mostly focused on the Xiaoao in his body. The academy will hold a world entrance assembly every 3 years. At that time, all the experts in the inner academy's soaring dragon ranking can participate. Finally, 2 people will be selected. These 2 people will have a competition that will last for a year. Only those who are qualified will have the qualification to enter the realm in Valley after a year. Yuan Tianmu stood up. He tidied his messy white robe and looked into the distance. He slowly looked at Xiao Yan. Seeing the latter lower his head and not saying anything, Yuan Tianmu's eyes slightly focused and continued, "The cultivation resources that the students in the realm in Valley can obtain are beyond your imagination. However, in my impression, there is no one like you in the inner court's soaring dragon ranking." Yuan Tianmu's aura suddenly soared into the sky as he spoke. It surged and spread, causing the surrounding huge rocks to suddenly explode and turn into dust. Xiao Yan was communicating with the Xiaoao mentally when he sensed Yuan Tianmu's sudden change. Xiao Yan narrowed his eyes and slowly raised his head to meet Yuan Tianmu's cold gaze. "Who the hell are you?" Yuan Tianmu was expressionless as he stood where he was. Xiao Yan could already feel an aura that was not any weaker than Li Yin's. "Hey." Xiao Yan smiled gently and stood up calmly. He looked at Yuan Tianmu and said with a smile that was not a smile. "I said, Yunluo Academy, Xiao Yan." Yuan Tianmu did not say anything. He slowly extended his right hand and clenched it. A spiritual light appeared and the dragon scale appeared in his hand. The tip of the spear was pointed to the ground. Yuan Tianmu's eyes were cold as he slowly said, "I am not joking. When the students from the Yunluo Academy, Realm in Valley, come out to train, their journey will be kept a secret. Everyone in the capital of chaos is an enemy. If you don't tell me the truth, I will kill you here. How overbearing. Xiao Yan couldn't help but smile when he heard this. He didn't reject the rules of the Yunluo Academy at all. The students of the realm in Valley had come out. This meant that he would become enemies with the entire capital of chaos, and it would undoubtedly be much easier for him to remain in a situation where no one knew about him. When Yuan Tianmu heard this, he glanced at Xiao Yan indifferently. His expression didn't change, but the imposing manner on his body became sharper and sharper. It's not entirely right to say that he is a student of Yunluo Academy, because up until now, I haven't even stepped through the gate of the academy. Xiao Yan sighed and mused for a moment. With a flick of his finger, a scroll appeared in his hand. It was the scroll that Elder Fang had given him when he first arrived in the Great World. It was the scroll that allowed him to inspect his own training. Back then, he had been amazed by the holy rank trial and had forgotten to return it to him. Now, he could use it as proof. Trial scroll. Yuan Tianmu narrowed his eyes when he saw the scroll that Xiao Yan had tossed over. He immediately recognized it. When he joined the academy back then, he had also torn apart one of the scrolls. In the end, he had no choice but to complete an 8-colored trial mission. No wonder, it turns out that I completed the trial and just arrived here. Yuan Tianmu's expression had also become much gentler at this moment. He grabbed the scroll that was thrown over and suddenly had a trace of hope in his heart. Back then, his trial had shot out 8 rays of light. This guy called Xiao Yan. However, with the strength of a monarch spirit, he should have at least 7 rays of light. While thinking, Yuan Tianmu inserted the tip of the dragon scale into the ground and tore open the scroll. In an instant, all the rays of light shot out from the scroll. 1, 2. Yuan Tianmu looked at the light that shot out from the scroll and the calm expression on his face finally changed a little. 8, 9, 10. Holy Grade Trial. Yuan Tianmu held the scroll in his hand and the expression on his face was exceptionally interesting. Then, he could not help but laugh towards the sky. It was a long time before he stopped laughing. Mu Yuyang, have you finally met your match? Chapter End. Battle Through the Heavens, Grand World. Chapter 268 I'm coming. It's been so many years, yet another Saint rank trial participant has appeared. Those old guys from the academy actually didn't tell us. After closing the scroll, Yuan Tianmu looked at Xiao Yan with a smile that was not a smile on his face. His gaze when he looked at Xiao Yan had already become much calmer. No wonder you have such strength. You really did not dishonor the title of Saint rank trial participant. At the very least, you are not much weaker than me back then. However, compared to Mu Yuyang, who was at the same time as me. Yuan Tianmu chuckled. He pulled out the dragon scale tip that was inserted into the ground. He clenched his hand and stored it into the storage ring. After which, he slowly opened his mouth. Your strength is quite lacking. Xiao Yan raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He looked at Yuan Tianmu. Who exactly was this Mu Yuyang? Mu Yuyang entered the academy a year earlier than me. When I entered the academy, he was already the #1 expert in the inner academy's soaring dragon ranking. After which, his opponent merely persisted for a month before he took the initiative to admit defeat. After merely entering the realm in Valley for a year, Mu Yuyang has defeated many experts in front of him and forcefully reached the 3rd rank. Another year has passed and Mu Yuyang has become the #1 expert in the realm in Valley. It has been 10 years, and no one has ever stolen the title of #1. Yuan Tianmu shook his head and sighed when he said this. Xiao Yan's pupils suddenly shrunk when he heard this. He was also shocked by Mu Yuyang's strength. He had only been in realm in Valley for 2 years, but he had already defeated all the powerful experts and reached the top. This strength was truly unbelievable. I will go to realm in Valley 3 years later. I will go there the same year. There is another person, Lin Dao. Speaking of the past, Yuan Tianmu had a solemn expression. When he mentioned Lin Dao's name, he shook his head. He was also a person who had entered the realm in Valley at the same time. This fellow's strength was much stronger than his. Didn't you say that only one person can enter the realm in Valley every 3 years? Xiao Yan's heart skipped a beat when he heard Lin Dao's name, then he asked curiously. Yes, but there are exceptions. If the 2 of them successfully complete the competition every year, they might be able to enter the realm in Valley after the Elder's evaluation. It is a little ridiculous to say that. Back then, in the inner academy, I am much stronger than Lin Dao. In the final competition, the elders only took a fancy to his tough will and imposing manner, forcing him to enter the realm in valley. They never thought that this fellow would be like a fish leaping over the dragon gate. In just 2 short years, he had reached a height that no one could ever hope to reach, even Mu Yuyong. I'm afraid that Mu Yuyong won't easily provoke him. Speaking up to this point, Yuan Tianmu laughed at himself, and his expression became much dimmer. Xiao Yan remained silent after hearing this. Lin Dao was indeed a person who could be called a miracle. Another year has passed. Due to the special relationship between the Yunluo Academy and Shao Clan, the Yunluo Academy gave the Shao Clan a slot to enter the realm in valley. At that time, Xiao Yi came in. He easily defeated the top 3 experts in the Soaring Dragon ranking and entered the realm in valley with the agreement of all the elders. 4 years later, he actually became one of the top 3 experts in the realm in valley. Yuan Tianmu's voice was heavy as he spoke about the strength of the top 3 experts of the realm in valley. All 3 of them were heaven-defying geniuses. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that they were monstrous geniuses. If that's the case, I'm afraid that I won't be able to enter the realm in valley with my current strength. After hearing Yuan Tianmu's words, Xiao Yan couldn't help but smile bitterly. The strength of these people was immeasurable. With his current strength, it would be difficult for him to enter the realm in valley. You are a saint rank trial participant. If nothing unexpected happens, you will definitely enter the realm in valley in the future. Mu Yuyong would be leaving in about 2 years' time. At that time, you, as the saint rank trial participant, will have to bear the responsibility of leading the overall situation. Mu Yuyong has done an outstanding job in this year's competition. Yuan Tianmu didn't mind it at all. He waved his hand and said, although I'm not as famous as the top 3 in realm in valley and the entire capital of chaos, they still have to consider the suggestion given to the elders. After saying that, Yuan Tianmu leapt up and rushed down the mountain. His voice also sounded beside Xiao Yan's ear. Let's go. Let's go to the Yunluo Academy. I want to ask those old fellows why they didn't tell us about the saint rank trial participant. Xiao Yan smiled when he heard Yuan Tianmu's slightly smiling voice. His body moved and followed closely behind. A trace of excitement suddenly emerged in Xiao Yan's heart when he thought that he would meet these geniuses. The Yunluo Academy was located in a vast green forest in the center of capital of chaos. Even though the capital of chaos was in chaos, the surroundings of the Yunluo Academy were peaceful. No one dared to spread the flames of war to this place, not only because of the strength of the Yunluo Academy, but also because of the dean of the Yunluo Academy. A few hundred years ago, there were a few major powers in the capital of chaos who coveted the cultivation resources of the Yunluo Academy. When they joined forces to attack the Yunluo, there were close to 10 emperor cultivation warriors in the allied army. There were also dozens of monarch emperor warriors in the army. Such a huge force had slaughtered their way into the Yunluo Academy. However, before they could enter the outer courtyard, they were killed by the formation outside the courtyard. Almost all those below the monarch emperor were killed. After entering the courtyard, a true nightmare followed. Nearly 100 elders had joined forces, beating the intruders until they fled in a sorry state. A few days later, the mysterious dean suddenly appeared in capital of chaos. With a wave of his hand, he swept across every single living being in the capital of chaos, wiping out all the powers that belonged to those who had attacked that day, and spread the word that the entire capital of chaos was under his control. Anyone who dared to offend the Yunluo would be killed without mercy. As soon as these domineering words left his mouth, even those supreme experts remained silent, not daring to provoke him. Because of this, Yunluo Academy's supreme position in the capital of chaos was established. Entering the forest and walking for dozens of miles is within the range of the Yunluo Academy. There will naturally be someone who will bring you there. After running for about half a day, Xiao Yan and Yuan Tianmu arrived at the center of the capital of chaos. In front of them was a boundless green forest. Thank you, brother Yuan. Xiao Yan cupped his hands towards Yuan Tianmu sincerely. The latter had also introduced the Yunluo Academy to him in detail during their journey. Given Yuan Tianmu's identity, he definitely knew more than Zhu Kun and Ji Yu Yuan. This had broadened Xiao Yan's horizons. I can't talk about hard work. That's right. According to what I know, the competition for entering the realm in Valley will begin in at most 1 year's time. At that time, the few of us will come out to take a look. I think they will be very interested in seeing the strength of the new generation's Saint rank trial participant. Don't let us down. Yuan Tianmu smiled lightly when he heard that. He looked at Xiao Yan and looked at him. His body moved and rushed in another direction. After advancing for a moment, he took out a command token. The space rippled and Yuan Tianmu's body suddenly disappeared. Xiao Yan recovered his senses and looked at the endless large forest in front of him. A layer of endless excitement immediately surged into his heart. His many years of thinking was finally about to come true at this moment. Xuan Kai Lin, I'm coming. Chapter End. Battle Through the Heavens, Grand World. Chapter 269 Intruder. In the boundless sea of trees, Xiao Yan was running at full speed in the forest. Relying on his powerful soul energy, he soon felt an invisible pressure filling the forest. Thinking about it, this should be the great formation protecting the Yunluo Academy. After flying for a while, Xiao Yan raised his head and looked over. At the end of his sight, there was a huge courtyard with an imposing aura that stood in the depths of the forest. At a glance, it seemed as if his mind would be immersed in it. Yunluo Academy. Xiao Yan blinked his eyes and calmed his excitement. After pondering for a moment, he found a huge rock and sat down cross-legged. He was about to enter the academy, so he had to maintain his best condition. He couldn't delay the Xiaoao's injuries any longer. When he was talking to Yuan Tianmu, Xiao Yan had also communicated with the Xiaoao for a while. The latter's injuries had already slightly eased up. After all, it was an injury that affected the source. Even with the Monarch Flame's mediation, it could not be recovered immediately. How do you feel now? Xiao Yan's mind was immersed in his body. He carefully asked about the Xiaoao. The latter's mind was not as active as before. It was curled up in the Monarch Flame, listless. Hearing Xiao Yan's voice, the Xiaoao slightly opened its eyes and raised its head to take a look. It muttered, "It's a little better than before, but I still feel a little uncomfortable." Xiao Yan frowned when he heard this. He himself could not explain the injuries in the Xiaoao's body. This kind of hidden illness was also the most troublesome. He took out a fragment of an eggshell and chewed on it as he ate. He muttered, "Although I don't feel that much pain in my body, I don't know why, but I don't have any strength in my body." After swallowing the eggshell in his mouth, the Xiaoao lifted its head. The monarch flame wrapped around its body disappeared. Xiao Yan's mind moved and he felt that he could control the monarch flame. How could this be? Xiao Yan once again placed his mind on the Xiaoao. His tone was filled with anxiety. The Xiaoao pouted and shook its head. A trace of seriousness flashed across its big eyes. It slowly said, "I am not sure. It is very likely that it has injured its origin. Right now, it is just feeling weak all over. It will not feel anything else. Don't worry." After a pause, the Xiaoao pondered for a moment before saying, "I'm not sure. It's very likely that it has injured its source. Right now, it's just feeling weak all over its body. It won't have any other feelings. This kind of situation, I think it has happened before. These few days, I will carefully recall. Perhaps I will discover something." After listening to the Xiaoao's words, Xiao Yan could only nod his head. With his current strength, he really could not be of any help to the Xiaoao. Swoosh! Suddenly, Xiao Yan frowned. His mind withdrew from his body. His eyes suddenly opened and he leapt. He had already left the place where he had sat cross-legged earlier. In the next moment, a few human figures had already rushed out from the forest. 4 men and 1 woman appeared. The 5 of them were wearing the same clothes. The leader of the group was a young man with a handsome face and a green longsword in his hand. He was staring at Xiao Yan with a pair of cold eyes. "Who are you?" The leader of the group looked at Xiao Yan vigilantly. The longsword in his hand buzzed slightly, as if it was going to let out a fierce attack at any moment. The 4 men behind him also had serious expressions on their faces. They stared at Xiao Yan with their eyes fixed on him. Their ki fluctuated. It was obvious that they were ready to fight. Xiao Yan fixed his eyes on the 4 men. He then nodded slightly and said, "Are you all from Yunluo Academy?" The leading man's face turned serious when he heard this. He said in a cold voice, "We are the punishment squad of the Yunluo Academy. We sensed something as soon as you entered this place. You don't have any proof of identity as a student of the Yunluo Academy on you, so why are you here? Identity certificate. Xiao Yan was slightly stunned. He nodded slightly and thought for a while. He took out the scroll that he had shown Yuan Tianmu and said with a smile, the proof of identity. That thing really doesn't exist. This should be able to prove it. The young man looked over and grabbed the scroll that Xiao Yan had thrown over. He looked at it carefully and then raised his head. His eyes were full of doubt. He glanced at Xiao Yan and looked at him with confusion. The man handed the scroll to the 4 people behind him. After looking at it carefully, the 4 people shook their heads with solemn expressions. When the young man saw this, his expression suddenly turned cold. He fiercely gripped the scroll in his hand and coldly shouted, "Capture it and hand it to the captain for trial." Xiao Yan's originally smiling expression immediately became serious when he heard this. He was just about to speak when the 4 people behind the young man appeared and cried out explosively. The origin monarch key within his body circulated wildly. A powerful aura soared into the sky and rushed towards Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan frowned. He was planning to fight a big battle when he sensed that the few of them were merely monarch spirit level experts. After thinking for a moment, the origin monarch key circulating within his body calmed down. It was likely that these fellows were only outer court or inner court students with such weak strength. It was likely that they had only been in the academy for a very short period of time. They were not like old fellows like Yuan Tianmu, who could recognize this kind of training scroll. He had also heard the latter mention when he was conversing with Zhu Kun earlier. During these few years, the new students who had entered the academy no longer carried out the so-called training scroll trials. It was very normal that these little fellows did not recognize them. Thinking of this, Xiao Yan no longer resisted. He let them tie him up with a special rope. Anyway, he didn't know how he was going to meet the elders of Yunluo Academy. With these guys, the chances of meeting them would be much higher. Besides, these guys were only monarch spirit level warriors. If they wanted to harm him, it would be too naive to trap him with just the rope of a low-grade spirit weapon. Bring him to the captain. After easily trapping Xiao Yan, the young man in the lead coldly harumphed and waved his hand. A few of them then led Xiao Yan forward. How dare you invade the Yunluo Academy with just the strength of a monarch spirit? A short-haired young man who was walking beside Xiao Yan looked at Xiao Yan coldly and couldn't help but ridicule him. Xiao Yan looked at the former with an indifferent expression, and let out a bitter laugh. After pondering for a moment, he suddenly turned his head to the young man who was leading the group and said, "You're all students of the Yunluo Academy, right? Have you heard of that? Elder Fang. Elder Fang. There are so many elders with the surname Fang in the academy. Who knows who you are talking about?" Before the leader of the group could speak, the only female among the 5 snorted lightly and berated in a lovable voice. That's true. Xiao Yan shook his head when he heard that. He did not take the girl's rudeness to heart. As an expert, he naturally would not take these little fellows' rudeness to heart. Then do you know Zhu Kun or Guyuan? After pondering for a moment, Xiao Yan chuckled and asked again. The young man in the lead frowned and said with an expressionless face, "Of course I do. Senior Zhu Kun and Senior Guyuan are the legendary figures of the academy, and they are the top 50 experts in the Soaring Dragon ranking. But I'm warning you, you broke into the Yunluo's forest without permission. This kind of crime, even they can't plead for you." Hearing the cold tone of the young man, Xiao Yan couldn't help but smile and shake his head with a bitter smile. He didn't want them to plead for him. Xiao Yan sighed and didn't say anything. He just let them lead him to the deeper parts of the forest. Xiao Yan told me that he has gone to the Kangri group for a trip. I wonder how he is doing now. At the entrance of the Yunluo Academy, Ji Yuan and Zhu Kun were anxiously waiting. They had just returned from the other side of the forest with their students. They also knew about Xiao Yan. When Zhu Kun heard about Xiao Yan's whereabouts from Guyuan, he almost went berserk on the spot. What do you want me to say to you? Won't you stop me? Given Xiao Yan's character, he won't just kill a few small fries in the Kangri group. If he gets entangled by the emperor or monarch emperor and something bad happens, I want to see how you are going to explain it to Kai Lin and Xuan. Zhu Kun's face was gloomy as he kept criticizing Guyuan. Guyuan also frowned. After listening to Zhu Kun's words, he started to worry. He kept walking on the same spot with a serious expression on his face. Where did Jin Wei go? Zhu Kun threw a tantrum at Guyuan. He looked around and asked the students who were patrolling not far away. Reporting to the two seniors, Senior Jin Wei noticed that there was something wrong with the formation. An intruder has entered. He and the other seniors have gone to take a look. Hearing this, the student hurriedly replied. Intruder. Zhu Kun frowned when he heard this. He waved his sleeve and didn't speak anymore. This fellow was the most proactive when it came to dealing with matters in front of an elder. Let's wait a little longer. If it really doesn't work, I'll go and ask the elder. Xiao Yan is a saint-rank trial participant, they won't let him go. Guyuan hesitated for a moment, then he looked up at Zhu Kun and said in a deep voice. When Zhu Kun heard this, he nodded without any hesitation. All right. Chapter end. Battle through the heavens, Grand World. Chapter 270 Powerful. At the entrance of the Yunluo Academy was a large open space. Looking forward, it was an endless open space, but from the outside, it looked like an academy that couldn't be reached no matter how one walked. This was the magical effect of the formation. At this moment, Zhu Kun and Guyuan were standing anxiously on the empty land. Behind them were dozens of students on duty. Most of these students were new students who had just entered the inner academy. Their strength had almost reached the monarch spirit level. Faced with Guyuan and Zhu Kun, these two old experts from the inner academy, their hearts involuntarily emitted a wave of respect. Reporting to Captain, the Jin Wei squad has escorted the intruders here. While the two of them were anxious like ants on a hot pan, a student on duty quickly entered the formation. He directly cupped his fist towards a cold-faced young man at the entrance and said loudly. The young man's name was Zhuang He. He was a powerful expert ranked 21st on the Soaring Dragon ranking within the inner academy. He was much higher than Guyuan and Zhu Kun. His status was that of a captain of the Yunluo Academy's punishment department, and he possessed quite a lot of authority. Zhuang He suddenly stood up after hearing his subordinate's report. He glanced at Guyuan and Zhu Kun, and revealed a faint smile as he said, the two of you should head back first. This is a place with strict supervision. The two of you have been standing here all this while, and it seems like you are hindering our brothers from enforcing the law. Zhu Kun heard what he said. When Zhu Kun heard this, blue veins suddenly popped out on his forehead. Just as he was about to speak, Guyuan raised his hand. He whispered, forget it. Don't try to meet them. A bunch of clowns is not worth getting angry at. Although Zhuang He's ranking was higher than the two of them, with Guyuan and Zhu Kun's strength, it wasn't difficult for them to defeat Zhuang He. Battle through the heavens, this ranking was decided a month before they left the illusory spirit Real realm. Control. As the fire wings flapped, Xiao Yan soared into the sky and easily dodged Li Yin's attack. The latter's punch landed on the ground, causing several cracks to appear on the ground. Beaky wings, Li Yin lifted his head and looked over. He could not help but be shocked. He carefully sensed Xiao Yan's current strength. The shock between his brows finally disappeared. This fellow's strength was still at the monarch spirit in the end. Shen Tu lifted the golden spear from the ground with one hand and grinned. His ferocious face became even more terrifying. His palm suddenly moved. The golden spear flashed with a bright light, and a continuous stream of origin monarch ki was injected into it. As the golden light circulated, it seemed to transform into a huge golden python. The huge python raised its head to the sky and hissed. Under Shen Tu's cold shout, in an instant, it shot out, exploding the air along its way. Yuan Tianwu was not afraid at all. He pushed out both of his palms. Endless purple origin monarch ki surged out from his palms, turning into two purple spirit birds. They flapped their wings and flew upwards, fighting with the giant golden python. As they flapped their wings, a purple aura filled the air, continuously devouring the giant golden python. Shen Tu, who was controlling the giant golden python, had a change in expression. He looked at the sky. The fire wings on Xiao Yan's back was flapping. He relied on his great advantage to dodge Li Yin's attacks time and time again. Although the latter could use the wings to temporarily soar into the sky, it consumed a great amount of origin monarch ki. The battle between the two was clearly disadvantageous to Li Yin. This fellow is not even at the level of an emperor yet he can fly. Could it be that he has borrowed some kind of treasure? A thought flashed across Shen Tu's mind. He grinned, and an endless amount of hostility shot out from his eyes. He looked at Yuan Tianmu with an even colder gaze. If that's the case, I don't mind letting the Yunluo Academy have one less elite warrior. Speaking of which, Yuan Tianmu's head is worth 300 million monarch crystals on the Yunluo's ranking list. If you insist on coming here to die, you will die. Don't blame me. Oh, with just you. Yuan Tianmu was also surprised by Xiao Yan's sudden display of skills. When he heard Shen Tu's words, Yuan Tianmu sneered and stretched out his left hand. Controlling the two purple spirit sparrows, he retracted his right hand. With a slight movement of his 5 fingers, a long spear appeared in his hand. The tip of the spear was spiraling like a dragon. It was engraved with profound patterns and was filled with mysterious power. With a wave of his hand, Yuan Tianmu held the spear in his right hand and the origin monarch key in his palm rotated. The tip of the spear suddenly buzzed and a faint dragon roar sounded. The entire spear seemed to be alive. Dragon scale tip, dragon's roar. Yuan Tianmu suddenly withdrew his left hand. The two purple spirit sparrows that had been fighting with the giant golden python suddenly let out a buzzing sound and exploded. The giant golden python roared in pain, and the golden scales on its body cracked inch by inch. Golden blood scattered in all directions, and black death key was emitted from the golden blood, as if it could corrode the space. The instant the purple spirit sparrows exploded, Yuan Tianmu suddenly grabbed the spear with both hands. A faintly discernible dragon roar was heard all of a sudden. Purple ki was surging on the tip of the spear, and it was filled with endless evil ki. It surged towards Shen Tu. Xiao Yan waved the blue flame ruler in his hand, and it easily blocked Li Yin's profound ice attack. Lightning rolled on the blue flame ruler, and it turned into a prism that rushed out with a buzzing sound. Li Yin had already witnessed the power of the Thunder Dragon prison domain. Immediately, his facial expression changed drastically, and he hastily retreated. The Thunder Dragon prison domain brushed past him, and he was sent flying away with a pale face. Xiao Yan's face turned pale when he used the Monarch skill once again. The Thunder Dragon prison domain was a genuine Monarch spell. Although the Monarch skill of a divine weapon rarely consumed origin Monarch ki, it was still a genuine Monarch spell. However, in this short period of time, Xiao Yan had consumed a lot of origin monarch ki in order to maintain the fire wings on his back. After forcing Li Yin back, Xiao Yan's eyes moved. He looked at Yuan Tianmu and Shen Tu, who were not far away. The battle between Yuan Tianmu and Shen Tu had become even more intense. As the long spear swept across the battlefield, a wave of purple ki reverberated in the air. Shen Tu, who was holding the golden long spear, was also closing in on them. He waved the long spear violently. The golden light kept flashing, resisting the corrosion of the purple ki. Every time the spear and the spear collided, it would bring along a deafening sound of metal colliding. Intense sound waves spread out, causing the huge rocks in the distance to quietly split apart. Looking at the blue flame ruler in his hand, Xiao Yan smiled helplessly. It was because his strength was too weak, and he was unable to unleash the true strength of a heavenly weapon. Otherwise, he could easily defeat Li Yin with just the blue flame ruler alone. Golden Python form. It collided violently with Yuan Tianmu. Shen Tu's face darkened. The golden spear in his hand suddenly drew a strange arc in the air. A golden light radiated from the spear and condensed into a huge golden python that was 1,000 feet in size. The scales on the body of the golden python were flashing with a strange spiritual light, as if they were illuminating the heaven and earth. Like a flood dragon, the tail of the python swung lightly and roared as it charged towards Yuan Tianmu. Yuan Tianmu's face was pale. After fighting Shen Tu for a while, he had consumed a lot of his energy. After all, the latter was an expert who had advanced to the monarch emperor. Although he had lost, his strength was far beyond that of an ordinary emperor. If he could defeat Li Yin with ease, it would be difficult for him to defeat Shen Tu. Dragon scale tip, dragon roar. Yuan Tianmu's expression changed slightly when he saw the huge golden python covering the sky as it approached. He did not dare to hold back. He suddenly bit the tip of his tongue. At the same time as he spat out his essence blood, the dragon scale tip in his hand surged with purple ki. He unleashed his most powerful attack. Xiao Yan was shocked by the powerful ki emitted by the two of them during the battle. He looked
He
coldly
clicked his
at
tongue
Zhuang
and
He,
praised
an
in his
icy cold
heart.
voice
A
was
battle
slowly
of this
emitted from
level
his
was
mouth.
indeed incomparably
If you dare
powerful.
touch the two of
You
them,
still
do
have
you
the mood
believe
to
that
look
I won't
elsewhere.
cripple you?
Just as Xiao Yan
Chapter
was
End.
slightly stunned,
Please guys
Li Yin
like,
once again rushed
comment,
over.
share, and
Cold air
subscribe.
covered both of his palms, freezing the air. Xiao Yan looked at Li Yin and narrowed his eyes. When he saw the fight between Yuan Tianmu and Shen Tu just now, both of them had unleashed the full power of the spirit weapon. That feeling of being able to use it freely was quietly reverberating in Xiao Yan's mind at this moment. Ever since the blue flame ruler had advanced to the heavenly weapon realm, it seemed like he had not resonated with it for a long time. Xiao Yan clenched the blue flame ruler tightly in his hand. Even though Li Yin had already forced his way in front of him, Xiao Yan still stood there without moving. He carefully felt the trace of feeling that the blue flame ruler had transmitted from his palm. It was as though it had merged into his heart, deep and deep. I seem to have felt it. The moment Li Yin's palm struck Xiao Yan's chest, Xiao Yan's eyes slightly narrowed and suddenly opened. His originally confused eyes had now regained their clarity. The original him, who was holding the blue flame ruler of a heavenly weapon, had only regarded it as a powerful weapon. The true strength of a heavenly weapon was far from being unleashed. But now, the feeling of flowing water was reverberating in his heart. It was as if the blue flame ruler had been truly grasped by him. The power of a heavenly weapon. Xiao Yan clenched the blue flame ruler tightly with his 5 fingers. His eyes looked at Li Yin in front of him. Suddenly, he laughed. His eyes were filled with energy. After which, he moved his arm gently. The blue flame ruler had already been waved. The wide ruler swept across the space, causing the wind to whistle. Bang! The connection between the blue flame ruler and him was like a layer of paper that had been torn open. The feeling of his soul being connected caused Xiao Yan to feel the rhythm of the blue flame ruler for the first time. It was the rhythm of a weapon. 8-directional thunder ruler. Xiao Yan shouted. For the first time, he did not borrow the strength of the 3000 lightning monarch flame. He relied entirely on the memory function of the blue flame ruler to display it. He waved the huge ruler, and it shook the heavens and the earth. Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.